One day I'm going to build something extraordinary, and it's going to be so good that everybody's going to want to have it, and they're going to pay whatever my asking price is with no questions, and life is going to be better than it already is. But until that day comes, I'll be in here building weird shit like 8 foot tall, 20-inch wide folding loft ladders. And if you want to see how I made these ladders, here's some of the process. And of course, that started with milling the lumber, getting everything flat, straight, and square. I had to make 4 ladders, so that means I needed 8 side rails and 24 rungs because I had 6 rungs for each ladder. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to say that this video was sponsored by Harvey Woodworking. And as you can see here, this G700 dust processor is a breeze to empty and really makes life a lot easier in the shop. Nah, I'm just bullshitting. I'm not sponsored by Harvey, but I'm just practicing just in case I do get sponsored by Harvey or anybody else that wants to send me some free shit and some money in the future. Now that I got that out the way, I can start cutting these dados into my side rails to accept my ladder rung. And to do that, I cleared out most of the material with this big old bow bit I had. And then after that, I came back through with a straight flush trim bit to make the bottom flat. I made these templates that I'm using at a 10-degree angle because I cut the bottom for my ladders at a 10-degree angle. And that way your rungs will be level whenever you're walking up the ladder. I knew making these dados would give me a little bit of tear out on the edge of my boards. And instead of fooling with clamping a piece of scrap plywood or something to it to prevent the tear out, I just made my boards a little wide. And then I just cleaned that edge up on the table saw when I was finished. After that, I got all the blanks for my ladder rungs milled up, and then I started forming them. And for the back edge of my ladder rungs, I used this 3/4 inch roundover bit from Whiteside. I kind of wanted to give these ladder rungs some kind of maybe grip or texture on the top just to make it a little safer to walk up and down. So I took one of my ladder rungs, made some layout marks on it, and I used that rung to get everything lined up to cut some grooves on the top face of these pieces. I also made 5 vertical grooves into the face of these pieces, and to do that I used my crosscut sled. And here you'll see that I built my crosscut sled with the removable insert on a fence, and this insert has been through it, so I figured it was time to change it out. After I got that changed out, I cut a kerf into that insert, and then I used that kerf to line up with my layout marks. Once I got my piece lined up, I slid over my stop block that I got from Cat's Moses Tools, secured my stop block, cut one groove, and then I flipped my piece because I made all of my layout marks symmetrical. So I flipped my piece over and I cut the next groove. And I did it in all of my pieces before I moved my stop block again to cut the remaining grooves. Shit, I tell you what, I wish I can work this fast in real life. I would probably have really good profit margins. But since my ass is slow, I probably made about 17 cents an hour. After all of that, I marked my side rails where I wanted my hinges to go. And then I drilled my holes to accept the hardware. Then I cut my side rails. Next, I glued everything up using epoxy to give me a longer assembly time. And then after I took everything out the clamps, I sprayed some finish, and then I started attaching my hinges. And the important thing to keep in mind when attaching these hinges is that you point them in the right direction because you don't want it to collapse when you're walking up the ladder. Along with the hinges, I also attach hooks to hang the ladders and anti-slip feet. I'll also note that I already had pilot holes pre-drilled for these attachments, and that's pretty important because you don't want to do all this work just to get all the way to the end and have a piece split on you while driving a screw. Now it's about time for install, and I always take way more shit than I need, but it's better to have more than you need than to not have enough. And I typically don't do on-site work. I typically like to build everything in my shop, just deliver it. But sometimes, it's necessary. But the main important things that you want to have is level, a good stud sensor, and some structural screws. If you made it this far, hopefully you'll take the time to like and subscribe to my page. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'm out. Until next time, it's Built by Blue.